Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Auckland Rugby League Referees Association invites you to the annual DB Gold Medal Award Dinner 1987, held at the Kingsgate Convention Centre downtown, Friday, September the 4th, 1987. In conjunction with Continental Airlines, Wineworths, Avago Promotions, the New Orient Restaurant, Laser Sports Shoes, Hush Puppies, The Mad Butcher, and Penrose Tyre Service in association with Firestone. Tonight, your host, Greg Clark from 89 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Clark.
The President of the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association to officially welcome you tonight, Mr. Ken Loza. Thank you, Greg. Am I allowed to use his cue card? Invited guests, Division 1 clubs of Auckland, referees, fellow league supporters, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure as the President of the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association, one, to be again part of this, the 9th annual dinner, this year known as the DB Gold Medal Award. Also gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here tonight for this occasion. I've only had one instruction, and that is not to be too long. Suits me down to the ground. I know that you're here tonight to view the Kiwi Masters, and so I'm going to keep my speech short, and I'll reserve a little bit of time later on to say a few more words in closing. But welcome to this, the 9th annual dinner. Thank you, Ken. Well, let's roll on with the program. And the idea for the Kiwi Masters was conceived at a liquid lunch at the DB Brewery about. John Percival and Dave Sargent bounced the idea off DB's Tony Manser, who gave it the thumbs up while he was underneath the table or something like that. Of course, the greats of the game have been forgotten, and this is our way of paying a tribute to them. A tribute to some of those who gave us great memories in the era from 1945 to 1975. 5 selectors were asked to individually pick the team, and they were Bill O'Callaghan of the Waikato, who's the current convener of selectors for the New Zealand Rugby League. Ryan Doherty of Auckland, a journalist with the Auckland Star who covered the game for 3 decades, the 50s, 60s and 70s. Ron McGregor of Auckland, a former Kiwi and past president of the New Zealand Rugby League and currently the secretary of the International Rugby League Board. Laurie Blanchard from Canterbury, a former Kiwi player, coach and selector. And Snow Telford of Auckland, also a former Kiwi selector and coach. So ladies and gentlemen, DB proudly presents the Kiwi Masters. Now the players will be announced individually, and we want you to give them a rousing reception when they join us on stage. First of all, I'd like you to put your hands together for 2 of the members of the organising committee who've been working very hard on this project. John Percival. Not as fast as he used to be when he was blowing the whistle. And I guess this man isn't as fast as he used to be when he was blowing the whistle either. Dave Sargent. Well, we've had weeks of speculation. The waiting is about to be over, folks. The DB Kiwi Masters for 1987. Let's roll with it, Dave.
Thank you, Greg. Away we go. Number 1. D.H. White.
Fullback, Des White of Auckland. Des represented New Zealand from 1950 to 56 and played in 21 tests, a renowned goal kicker. Des holds a record for the most number of goals in a test. His 11 goals in a game in 1953 is still standing. He was the first man to break the 100-point barrier in a series in Australia and the first man to break the 200-point barrier in a series in Great Britain and France. He provided Kiwi fans with one of the great moments of New Zealand Rugby League when he kicked the winning goal from the sideline to beat France at Carlaw Park in 1951. The Kiwis won the game by 16 to 15. Des is currently a commentator for Radio New Zealand and TVNZ. Des White.
Number 2, T. Hadfield.
Wing, Tommy Hadfield of Auckland. Tommy represented New Zealand from 1956 to 1961, playing in 17 tests, a Northcote and Northern Districts man. He played some football at loose forward or stand-off, but it was as a robust winger that he thrilled the crowd in test matches. He's known as a legend on the North Shore and was Northcote's first Kiwi. His 15 test tries made him a prolific Kiwi try scorer. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Hadfield.
Number 3, T.O. Baxter.
Centre, Tommy Baxter, Auckland. Tommy played for New Zealand from 1949 to 1956, and he played in 29 tests, scoring 23 tries, making him one of the leading try scorers for the Kiwis. He was regarded as one of the quickest big men ever to wear the New Zealand jersey. Critics believe that his combination with one of his centre partners was on a par with the great Australian pairing of Reg Gasnier and Harry Wells, and folks, that says a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Baxter.
Number 4, M.H.W. Robertson.
Centre, Morris Robertson of Auckland. Morris represented New Zealand from 1946 to 52 and played in 18 test matches. He's done it all. He was not only a Kiwi player, but a captain, coach and selector. He's regarded as being one of the best tacticians in the history of the game, one of the great competitors. People will remember the giant sidestep. He was one of the first Kiwis to cross the Tasman as a professional player, playing for the Gold Coast, and he captained Brisbane, and he was selected to play for Queensland, but injury forced him out. Ladies and gentlemen, Morris Robertson.
Number 5, P.C. Orchard.
Winger, Philip Orchard, Bay of Plenty in Wellington. Philip played for New Zealand from 1969 to 1975. The baby of the side, more or less. He played in 21 tests, scoring 15 tries, which is a joint record also held by Tommy Hadfield. He was a block-busting winger with no-nonsense, straight-for-the-line approach all the time. He scored 40 tries in the total number of matches for the Kiwis, and people still talk about the time he left half the Aussie team stranded on the ground as he hugged the touchlines to score the match-winning try at Carlisle Park in 1969. Ladies and gentlemen, Philip Orchard.
Number 6, G. Menzies.
Standoff, Geordie Menzies, West Coast. Geordie represented New Zealand from 51 to 61, playing in 28 tests. He was known as Mr. Efficiency, one of the best link men in the business. His great skill and consistency kept him in the Kiwis for 11 years, the longest span ever by a Kiwi, along with 2 other players, including our guest speaker tonight, Fred Arcoy. Ladies and gentlemen, Geordie Menzies, Standoff.
Number 7, J.S. Haig.
Halfback, Jimmy Haig, Canterbury. Jimmy played 21 tests for New Zealand from 1947 to 1954. When asked to describe the little man, one leading critic of his era answered with one word: tough. He was an extra forward, not backward in coming forward when it came to mixing with the big men. Jimmy is the only man post-war to have achieved dual rugby international status, playing for the All Blacks in 1946 before moving to rugby league. And even though he may not look like it, he is actually the oldest member of the DB Kiwi Masters. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Haig.
Number 8, C.R. Johnson.
Prop, Cliff Johnson, Auckland. Cliff played for his country in 34 tests from 1950 to 1960. Along with Geordie Menzies and Fred Arcoy, Cliff holds the record for the longest span as a Kiwi, 11 years. Now, I think it's safe to say the props aren't renowned for their fitness. They throw a good left and right hook and a good left and right boot. But fitness isn't one of their better points. However, Cliff was an exception, a very fit man, and he possessed great ball skills for a prop. Ladies and gentlemen, Cliff Johnson.
Number 9, J.R. Butterfield.
Hooker, Jock Butterfield, Canterbury, West Coast. Jock played for New Zealand from 1954 to 1963, and he holds the record for the most number of tests for the Kiwis, along with Dane O'Hara, an astonishing 36 test matches. Jock was another no-nonsense, rugged forward, and while he preferred to hook, he was a capable prop. To give you an idea of his dedication, he played 99 games for the Kiwis. Truly an outstanding contribution. "99 games, and have a look at him now. He can probably go out and play tomorrow." Actually, folks, Jock now lives near Bundaberg in Queensland, the only DB Kiwi master to be flown from abroad for this presentation tonight. And while he lives near Bundaberg, believe it or not, he doesn't drink the rum. Jock Butterfield.
Number 10, H.K. Emery.
Honi Komanga Emery, Auckland, prop, Manga. Represented New Zealand from 1961 to 1966 and played 23 tests. He was a Maori All Black before changing to league. Manga didn't mess about with the opposition, and I guess that's an understatement. The French call him Le Monster. After he chased a Frenchman off the field before catching him in the grandstand. The rest is history, and so was the Frenchman. His teammates tell the story about him carrying an injured left leg through the complete England tour, wearing a bandage on the good leg. Apparently he didn't mind the Poms kicking the living daylight out of the good leg. Ladies and gentlemen, Manga Emery.
Number 11, R.C. Ackland.
Ron Ackland, Auckland, second rower. Ron played 18 tests for the Kiwis from 1954 to 1963, and in later years he became a Kiwi coach. He was first selected at centre, but it wasn't too long before he found a place in the second row. He was considered to be one of the best ball distributors in the game, the best ball player of his era. He was a great tackler. In fact, in one game he made 6 consecutive tackles, all different, around the legs, ball and all. Probably a stiff arm thrown in there as well. He was one of the most exciting forwards to ever wear the Kiwi jersey. He played out his time across the Tasman in Goulburn and NZRL, playing also for New South Wales country. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Ackland.
Number 12, R.D. Hammond.
Number 12, second rower, Don Hammond of Auckland. Don played 20 tests for New Zealand from 1959 to 1965. He was another Kiwi captain and one of the most feared tacklers in the business. Even the international opposition were known to throw the ball away rather than be hit by Don. However, he was a fair tackler, and he will always be remembered as one of the best and fairest defensive Kiwis. And like all of our Kiwi masters, Don's dedication to his game was always first class. And interesting to note that on the trophy that we'll be handing out a little later on for the Player of the Year, Don's name is on top of the list. He won the first ever Auckland Player of the Year competition. I don't know whether you remember that or not, Don, but ladies and gentlemen, Don Hemmond.
Number 13, M.L. Cook.
It's been a long wait out the back for loose forward Mel Cook from Canterbury. Mel played 22 tests for New Zealand from 1959 to 1964. He was known as Mr. Perpetual Motion, a brilliant mover and a great cover defender, one of the best around. There was so much talk about his level of fitness at the time that a university did some tests on him, and he was found to have a better recovery rate than the great Kiwi runner Peter Snell when he was still going strong. Mel finished his big-time career playing for Canberra, and he represented New South Wales country along with Ron Ackland, who was one of the opposition coaches in their particular competition in Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, Mel Cook. Now I'd like you to stand as we salute the DB Kiwi Masters 1945 to 1975. I noticed a couple of people taking photographs there. You can be seated now, and don't worry about taking your own personal photographs because DB have thought of everything. We have a magnificent colour photograph of the DB Kiwi Masters taken at Carlaw Park in secret a day or so ago, and that will be handed out just after the meal tonight. You might notice some rubber bands on your table. That's actually to roll up the poster so it doesn't fall in the booze or a little later on. What have you done with those rubber bands? Anyway, on with the show. I'd now like to call on Mr. Ivan Batchelor, the Northern Region Operational Manager for Dominion Breweries, to present the DB Kiwi Masters with their jersey. Ivan Batchelor. We might go, starting with the fullback, we'll go to Des White first. I think, Ivan, it might be an idea if you could just hold up Des's jersey to the crowd just to let everyone have a look at what it's all about. The front side, the front side. Des White. Moving along now to Tommy Hadfield. Number 3, Tommy Baxter. Number 4, Morris Robertson. Number 5, Philip Orchard. Number 6, Geordie Menzies. Number 7 is Jimmy Haig. Eight, Cliff Johnson. Number 9, Jock Butterfield. Number 10, Munga Emery. Number 12, in fact, number 11 is Rod Ackland. Number 12, Don Hammond, and 13, Mel Cook. Thank you, Ivan. You may notice that there are a few spare tables down the front of the stage here, and we now invite the Kiwi Masters and their wives and partners who have been hiding up the top. You're now welcome to come down and join us at the tables. Thank you very much. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first part of our proceedings tonight. We might actually sit down and enjoy a few refreshments, and dinner will be served very, very shortly. Straight after dinner, we'll be back to present you with the posters of the DB Kiwi Masters, and then, of course, we'll have our guest speaker, Fred Arcoy. Thank you. We bring on our guest speaker for the night, Fred Arcoy. And if I could just take the... Also, we have the Kiwi Rugby League coach, Tank Gordon. As far as I know, we have 3 of this year's Kiwis. I do apologise if I forget anyone, but from what I can gather, Gary Freeman from Northcote is here. Stand up again, Gary. You have to get on the table. We can't see you. No, stand up. Oh, you are? Good. Also, we have Mark Horrow from Te Atatu. Go on, you, Mark. Sam Penniper from Te Atatu. Also, I think we should make mention of the fact that this, of course, is the night of nights for the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association. And not only the Auckland referees, but referees in Australia and New Zealand certainly wouldn't have the numbers and wouldn't be outfitted and presented the way that they are if they didn't have the backing of TNT. And we have Ted and Bill from TNT here. Thank you very much. Bill Cadwallader and Ted Preble. I hope we don't have to call on these guys, but they are great supporters of this evening, members of the fire services. Where are you, fellas? We also have some distinguished guests from Great Britain, from the Salford Club, still a First Division club, and let's hope they stay that way. We have the director of Salford, who's a guest of Terry O'Shea and the gang from Te Atatu, and his name is Joe Robinson. Would you like to stand up for us, Joe? And also the sponsor of the Salford team. Gee, they get some good perks nowadays, these sponsors, don't they? Austin Wilkinson. How are you, Austin? I was talking to the guys before and they said they're out here obviously chasing a bit of talent, and they said that they were quite interested to know that there are quite a few Fijian rugby players that might be interested in playing for Salford as well. And on the subject of South Africa, dare I mention the word? Fred Arcoy was telling me that in his last year in England, he got a bit of a chuckle out of watching the final of Mastermind. And it came to the South African champion to answer the question to win the title. And the compere said, well, Freddie van der Merwe, this is it. Answer this question and you are Mastermind 1987. Freddie van der Merwe, what is the national sport of South Africa? And Freddie said, masturbation. And the compere said, well, that's not exactly what I've got written down here, but you might like to elaborate. He said, well, let's face it, if no one else will play with us, we'll have to play with ourselves. Apparently it's a true story. Is that right, Fred? You wouldn't tell a lie, would you? I hope you all enjoyed receiving your poster of the DB Kiwis 1945 to 1975. Certainly a great colour shot, and that's going to be a collector's item, that's for sure. I mentioned earlier on that there were 5 selectors who had the task of choosing the team individually. I'd like to point these men out to you. Bill O'Callaghan of the Waikato, the current convener of selectors for the New Zealand Rugby League. Bill? Brian Doherty of Auckland, a journalist with the Auckland Star who covered the game for 3 decades. I'm not allowed to say the actual decades. Apparently I made him sound a little bit older than he actually is. Thank you, Brian. Ron McGregor of Auckland, former Kiwi player and past president of the New Zealand Rugby League and currently secretary of the International Rugby League Board. Laurie Blanchard of Canterbury, former Kiwi player, coach and selector. Laurie. And also Snow Telford of Auckland, former Kiwi selector and coach. Snow. Now, we also have a few distinguished guests on the top table tonight. We might start from the end. Mr. Wayne Chan from the New Orient Restaurant. Thank you, Wayne. We have Mr. Ken Loza, the president of the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association. Mr. Graham Lydiard from Laser Shoes. Peter Gilmore from the organising committee of this function. Peter. Mr. Keith Lawson from Avago Promotions. Mr. Peter Leach, the Mad Butcher. Any tip for Sunday, Peter? Representing Continental Airlines from the cargo division, Mr. Herman Tross. Representing DB, Dominion Breweries, Ivan Batchelor. Dave Sargent from the organising committee. We'll skip the next person, you'll get to him very shortly. Mr. John Percival from the organising committee. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker tonight has had an illustrious career in rugby league. He started playing for Richmond Seniors in 1974, represented Auckland for the first time in 1975, played for the New Zealand Maoris in the Pacific Cup in 1975, and then advanced into the Kiwi ranks in the same year. He moved to North Sydney in 1981 before joining Hull in Great Britain in 1983, and he stayed with them until this year. He is now retired from the game as a player, and while he'll be remembered for his 11 years as a Kiwi and for his 29 tests, he will also be remembered as the Kiwi captain who never led his side to a test defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who is now also working in the promotions department for Dominion Breweries, would you please welcome Mr. Fred Arcoy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is that Joe? Yeah. Well, it's really nice to be here, finally at home, after 7 long years of living and playing football overseas. I feel very privileged and honoured to be amongst such distinguished players, not only from the past, but from the present. Dave Sargent, just over there, sitting next to me on my left. He was down at the Richmond Club about 2 months ago, and we're having a couple of beers. And he said, well, Fredo, what do you reckon about speaking at the Best and Fairest on the 4th? I said, you got to be kidding. What? Go up there and talk to people. And he says, yeah, just go up there and it's easy. Just go up there, talk to people about football, what it was like in Australia, what it was like in England, and, you know, tell a few jokes. Tell a few jokes. I didn't know any jokes at all, so I says, well, buy me another beer anyway, Dave, I'll think about it. So, after a couple of beers, actually about a couple of dozen really, I sort of went under pressure and says, yeah, okay, then I'll do it. And easy it's not. And Dave, I don't think I'll ever have another beer with you again. But he asked me to talk about the professional circuit.
Referees, and Neville, I can't say I know how you feel, Neville. I never won a bloody thing in all my life. But at least, you know, we're all proud of you, and you can see everybody's right behind you. Continental is very pleased to be associated with League, of course. I'm also pleased to see a few of my competitors here also to see how we're doing it. Had to get that in. I'm also pleased that so many people come from far and wide. I hear them say Westport, Hokitika, Nelson, and I believe Bundaberg, Canberra, even one from Lebanon, I believe, Beirut, Reese Fakuri or somebody, I don't know. Shalom alaikum, Reese. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, we like to be associated with League, of course, and on behalf of the management from Continental, I wish Neville a terrific trip. Spend all the money. I believe you get some money as well, and come back and maybe win again next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Still more to come, Neville. Now I'd like to call on a representative from Wineworth to hand over that particular prize, and John, in fact, will do that, and it's $500 worth of product from Wineworth. I'd like to call on a representative now from Avago Promotions to present his share of the first prize, Keith Lawson. I can assure you it doesn't bounce either, Neville. $1,000. Well, it's been a very good night for Neville. Congratulations. You might like to go down and share your moment of glory with your friends now and your club. And we've got the trophy as well. My goodness, you'll be here all night. We'd like to call on someone to present the trophy, and I think it might be fitting to call on Don Hammond, whose name was the first one to be inscribed. One of the Kiwi Masters, Don Hammond.
Thanks everybody. Calm down. Like I said, it's a great honour to win such a prize like this for my first time. And I'd just like to thank all the sponsors here tonight. Thank you very much. And the referees and all these out there, for supporting such a great game. Thank you very much.
Neville Ramsey, folks. We have more prizes before we end our proceedings tonight. Second prize, of course, goes to Northcote's Dean Birch. Tyres to the value of $500 plus $300 cash. Selected wine cellar stock to the value of $300, a weekend accommodation for two at the DB Rotorua Hotel, courtesy of Penrose Tyre Services, the Mad Butcher, Wineworth and Dominion Breweries. So first of all, I think we might call on the Mad Butcher to present his share of this trophy. Peter Leach.
It's all right, you guys can all lay out your mouth, but I'll tell you what, you come to Carlaw Park and you'll see Mangrees. We won't come third, I'm telling you. You can say what you like, and you Tiara 2 people can just be quiet, I'm telling you. Oh, mate.
Where are you, Dean? Dean Birch from Northcote. Where are you, mate? I hope you move a bit faster than that on Sunday week. So that's the prize from the Mad Butcher and also from DB, the weekend for two at DB Rotorua. Stay there, Dean, because I'd like to call on a representative or someone to present the prize on behalf of Penrose Tyre Services. And it's John Percival again. And also, stay there, we've got another prize from Wineworths. And it's John Percival again. $300 worth of stock from Wineworths. So some fantastic prizes here this year, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Dean. And now that the Mad Butcher's seated and I'm out of reach of the Teatitude crowd. No, don't celebrate now because I'll be celebrating with Dean and the Northcote boys in a fortnight. What have I said? Third prize, Clint Flavel, Mangere East. One year's membership of Clive Green Health Centre plus $200 cash, selected wine cellar stock to the value of $200, courtesy of Clive Green Health Centre, the Mad Butcher and Wineworth. So we might call on the Mad Butcher once again. Where are you, Clint? Come on, mate. Stay there, Clint. Got a prize also from Clive Green. And also from Wineworths, and to present both of them on their behalf, John Percival once again. Thanks very much, Clint. Good luck on Sunday. Well, there we go, folks. The three prize winners for the 1987 Gold Medal, DB Gold Medal Awards. I'm not too sure what the proceedings are after this, but I think if you have got a drink in front of you, you're welcome to drink it. Ken, I believe people may be welcome somewhere else. In fact, at the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association rooms. And if you don't know where that is, well, it's just on the corner there as you walk down to Carlaw Park. So you're most welcome to pop down there and help celebrate, or help the winners to celebrate. That's just about it for my little bit tonight. It's been a pleasure being here on behalf of 89 FM. And of course the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association. Thanks to DB and all of the sponsors, New Orient, Laser Shoes, Avago, Mad Butcher, Continental Airlines, DB, and of course the organising committee down here, Dave Sargent, Peter Gilmore, and also John Percival, and of course our guest speaker, Fred Arcoy. Congratulations, Neville. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cliff.